Welcome!
Here we are again.
Here we are again. We're in beautiful Kelowna. So we've actually got this nice little spot here with, you can see the beautiful lake behind us, and we're just going to prove to everybody that Kelowna is that beautiful. So
sorry.
So yeah, we're gonna just connect on a few things, and I think one of the things that we were feeling a bit inspired about recently, and it's kind of been a lend to maybe some of the other podcasts that we've recently had, which is talking a little bit more about kind of intuition and really like recognizing what our needs are and how we move forward. And I think that we've alluded to intuition a few times, but I think there's a real conversation to be had around what does that actually mean? What does that look like? What is that? How do I access that? And what's the purpose of that? And obviously, in order for us to set boundaries, make decisions that are right for us, we actually have to know who we are, and we have to know we're worthy and desiring of those things. So we're kind of like breaking it down, I think, a little bit, just to kind of start from the beginning, so that we're not talking about things that people are like, I don't know, I don't get that. One of my, for all those Oprah lovers or not, one of the quotes that she said, I grew up, watching her after schools and whatever.
You grew up?
I did. Sort of.
Well, we're not going to tell anybody. We haven't yet.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Totally. Yeah. So one of the quotes that she had at the very, it was like her last episode on air that she ever had, and it was just her talking to the audience. And one of the things that she had said, which really spoke to me, was the one thing that she'd learned from interviewing people through her whole career was that she really felt like the theme that people are always coming with, no matter what challenge and struggle, because often you're interviewing people who've been through hard times, and she's like, it's constantly, the theme I see is that people are born worthy, and then they spend the rest of their lives with the world telling them why they're not. And her whole thing was, it's about recognizing your own value and worth that you already were born with. And I say that to my patients too, is like, you're not missing, you're not anything, you're not broken. It's just a matter of, we have to reclaim it. We were born worthy, and then through our circumstances and situations, we get the impression that we're not. And so how do we regain that? How do we come into, what does self-love look like? That's part of,
True.
Tapping into our knowing of ourself. That means taking care of our needs, but what are our needs? How do we, it's kind of that huge, big umbrella. So anyways, that's my lead-in.
Self-love. Self-love.
So tell me what that looks like for you.
Oh, is that called selfish? Because I've been called selfish a few times in my life, and I'm like, thank you.
Such a distorted word, right?
It is a distorted word.
I think that's another way that we get controlled, right?
Oh, for 100%.
Distort the word of don't take care of yourself, because that's selfish, not if you take care of yourself, then you're actually
capable
and showing up in the world the best possible way you can.
100%. Oh man, it was so freeing when I learned that when I was younger, and then, bombing around a culture and society that really has a misunderstanding about it. They really have, I call it self-full, and I remember gradually learning about that in my early 20s and so on, and going, okay, how do I implement this now though? How do I just outwardly put myself first,
right,
and put myself first with me, number one, and then put myself first in society, in culture, in relationship, and all those things, and then say, hey, put yourself first, and we're good.
Right.
You put yourself first, I put myself first, let's see how that goes. And it's going to go way better than a codependent relationship.
Totally.
Like, you're responsible for my happiness and my vitality and my blah, 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 right? So, yeah, self-love and self-worth, man. So what do we get? Let's break down. Let's break down self-love. Because
I think one of the things is what destroys it. Because if you think about self-love is like, self-worth, it's self-esteem, self-confidence. It's also like a self-knowing, right?
Yeah.
Recognizing your needs so that you're capable of setting boundaries with people and knowing what's the right decision for you, rather than being the indecision, which is such a big thing for people today, because they're always thinking about like, what do I do? And that's that mental chaos that we get into. So to me, like, self-love is really recognizing who you are at each moment. And I think one of the easy ways to understand it too is it's also what destroys it. Like, if you're born worthy, if that, I have kids, that precious baby is like the most valuable, precious, beautiful thing in the whole world. How do they get to where, they don't feel like, they're not taking care of themselves, they're not, just taking care of their bodies, their emotions, and you can tell when we're not carrying self-love, self-respect, it's going to manifest in many ways in our life, right?
So in terms of parent-child relationship, I have many children. They just don't happen to be biologically mine.
Yes, that's right.
Nieces, nephews, your children as my little nieces, nephews. Parent-child relationship. So you asked, where does it break down? First and foremost, it breaks down because the parent doesn't feel worthy.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, that's the number one place that you can't tell them and not be it.
Right.
You got to be it, and then you don't even need to tell them.
And there's such a good book on this that I refer lots of times. It's one of my favorites. It's called Running on Empty, which I haven't mentioned this one before.
I read it.
It's a good one. It talks about all different types of parenting strategies, because it's not like one type of parent.
Yeah.
It's the reality is we can't give anybody that which we don't have, right?
True.
And so if you break it down, every single human being wants to feel loved, to feel accepted, to be known, to be understood. And in children, that's even more so, right? They're hyper dependent on being loved, being approved of, being validated. And so when a parent isn't capable of doing that for whatever reason, maybe they're distracted, maybe they're sick, maybe they're an alcoholic parent, maybe they're a passive parent, an authoritarian parent, a narcissist, a perfectionist, whatever it is, it just means that the kid's needs aren't met. And so if your needs aren't met growing up, when you're in that real vulnerable state of I'm influenced by the world around me, then you quickly learn that your needs don't matter. And if your needs don't matter, then you mustn't be important. And so what does that do to your self-worth and value? Naturally.
I think what's really interesting about that, and again, I've watched my brothers with their amazing children, and they're doing an amazing job in the circumstances they've created for their life and their self. Is as much as that we can try to be perfect and worthy and deserving and all of those things, we are a growing human being for the rest of our life.
Totally.
Rest of our life.
Totally.
We are evolving, we're changing, we have phases and stages we go through. And then we create this environment for our child, but then we go, hey, go outside and play. Hey, go to school.
Right, and
hey,
that's
go
why
hang out with
parents
your
aren't
friends.
the only influence.
Right? So it is that also, it's that part of it that will break it down.
Totally.
Is community, who they're hanging out with, who we are hanging out with.
Yeah.
Who are we?
Their influences are.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think also we can't protect ourselves from it. We're here to be human and have this contrasting experience, but also our children, we're like, okay, well, I do what I can of myself first.
Yeah.
Then I'm being what I can, which isn't perfect.
Yeah.
And then set them out into the public and whatever,
Right.
can't keep them protected. They're going to have their own experiences of that also.
Totally.
Right? So, meaning even
If you do everything
if you did it right. Yeah, if you did
you still,
it really
it's
right.
because the world is,
That's the
I mean,
point.
we're in a world that's suffering. There's a lot of brokenness.
It's the point, though.
Yeah.
We're not God.
No.
We did not come here to be God.
No.
We came here to be hand in hand and listen and be guided and led
Work towards
as a human.
that feeling.
As a human
Yeah.
in this contrasting world.
Well, that's, I think, that the humanity of all things is that the perfectly imperfect. And so as I say, where does this break down in terms of self-love, I also, you know, the next comment on that is also saying, but regardless of where you came from, regardless of the upbringing you had, it doesn't mean that that can't change.
100%.
So, I mean, I think that's part of, you know, a lot of times we get into that psyche of we just blame our past. Oh, it's because I grew up like this. And it's valid, yes, because of this experience you've had, that is why you're experiencing that.
Yeah.
But it's not a matter of because I've gone through that, now that's the way I'm going to be for the rest of my life.
No.
Part of being an adult is saying, regardless of what I've been through, it's now my job to actually overcome the obstacles, the codependency, the, you know, the challenges that's caused me to have low self-worth, low self-respect, whatever that might be. Because I really believe children are the only victims in the world. They're the ones that they don't get to choose the family they come into. They don't get to choose the environment around them. But once you become an adult,
I'm not sure about that. I think I might disagree with you on that one. From a soulful perspective. Yep.
Well, I think that once you become an adult, that's where we have to move into that responsibility. I'm not saying that that's not easier for others than some. Like some, there's a lot of adversity for them to get there.
True.
So
100%. For
there's
sure.
a difference between going through hardship and disadvantage and being a victim to the world. Like shitty things happen to people.
Yeah.
And they didn't deserve it. It's not
100%.
karma.
I know.
But how we choose to respond to it, there's either I'm a victim in it, or I can say, how do I overcome it?
100%. So, wow, man, you hit a topic that I'm excited to talk about.
But kids don't have that same mental capacity, is what I'm saying.
Not for the first part of their life.
Right.
But then they get exposed to the possibility of it.
So once that's where I always look at it from a hopeful perspective, is that, you know, regardless of the shady things you've been in and been through, don't look at it as, well, that's just the way it is now. Because it can be overcome.
Sure.
And right now in the world, we have a lot of, I call them adult children in the world, because they're still living out childhood patterns of dysfunction, right?
Are you calling me out right now? No,
I'm calling myself out. Are you kidding? We all got it. That's the thing. Is it's not like I'm not referring to every single human, because we all have stuff. And it's not about comparing a person's emotional damage or trauma or experiences, because the reality is we all got it. And you're not allowed to say, well, mine was worse because I went through this. Well, if you're experiencing some degree of trauma or hurt or pain or suffering, it's not good.
I'll say this though, if somebody says mine's worse because I did this, that is a victim statement.
Right.
And all I say is you're welcome to keep that. That you're welcome to hang on to that and enjoy the path that brings you.
Right.
Or you can choose to go, no matter what I've been through, there's capability to get over this, to come through it, whatever that is.
Right.
And you're gifted with those opportunities the second you change your mind about it.
Right.
You change your attitude about it. I'm thinking of a few people that I love dearly that have a bit of a road ahead of them and on this topic. And I'm speaking to them, and if they're listening to this, they'll know who they are. You have to wipe your slate clean. So at some point or another, you become a conscious human being, more conscious than you are in our unconscious upbringing. You become conscious and aware. And when you become conscious aware, it's shitty, but then also all of a sudden there's a bit of a responsibility to make a choice. And when you make that choice to go, well, do I trudge this out for the rest of my life, or do I actually make the best of it?
Right.
And making the best of it is just literally the difference. It's one simple choice: victim or accountable, empowered or disempowered.
Right.
And it's not inevitable. It's I get to choose. Am I disempowered or am I empowered?
Right. I'm on the roller coaster, or I'm being more intentional with my life. It is perspective, because we can't change what is. We can't change what we've been through.
No.
But that is a seed that does plant a sense of I'm not deserving. And if you believe that lie,
true,
because
it is a lie.
That's all it is somebody else's brokenness that's been passed on to you. That if you believe that lie, then you're in agreement energetically with it. So are you going to be able to attract all the things you've ever wanted? Are you going to feel empowered? No, because at a core level, you don't feel that you're deserving. But the truth of the matter is you were born deserving and you will die deserving. You've always been deserving.
Woohoo!
Amen.
Here, cheers to that. Come here, chica. That was, woohoo! Thank God. That is absolute truth.
There's nothing you got to do to prove it or to...
No, you just got to unlayer that
Yes.
shit. You just got to unravel it. You got to give it back. Like, I remember thinking to myself when I'm like 29, 30 years old. I'm only 33.
That's right.
33, right?
Yes.
Right.
Today,
I was going to make a comment, but I threw myself under the bus at this point.
you've said your age several times. If you don't know it, go back and watch a podcast. We'll keep you guessing.
Keep you guessing. Okay, now I'm distracted by my own throw myself under the bus. What was I saying?
Deserving.
Right. Shit. 33, 32. I don't know. I actually can't remember. I'm thinking about a scenario right now that I'm like totally distracted by. Yep. Deserving. Okay, you talk, because I can't remember.
Well,
when did it go?
I think we were just talking about the fact that there's nothing that you can do. You said it's the unpacking, it's the unlayering.
Okay, thank you.
There you go. It's cute. She's on. This is the perfect imperfect.
So unpacking. So in my late 20s, I just started to give it back. I'm like, wow. My teacher gave me this, but that's not my truth. Here you go, teacher. My parents, my brothers, my society, my friends, my family, my circumstances that I found myself in.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to just give this back because that's actually not me.
Totally.
It's not who I am. The question constantly at that point in time was, is that my truth or was it something given to me?
We get imprinted with it.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And what is so freeing about that is you literally can just literally say, here you go. I'll give you that belief back, and you cut the cord and you're gone. And then you go, now who am I? And tomorrow or today or in the next moment, who am I going to be? And then in that process of myself at that point in time was, oh shit, my community may not understand me at this point. My community may not like me at this point because I'm not going to be who I have been.
Right.
Because it was layered with all the expectations and things and beliefs and ideas.
Stories,
Right? But it didn't include, you are amazing. You are worthy of love no matter what. You're worthy and deserving and capable and able. And crazy thing is, if you look at my life physically and all the stuff, you'd think, okay, how is she even thinking that way about herself? But internally, it was like
The driving force.
oh man,
The motivation.
yeah.
Yeah.
And thankfully, I'll say I'm over that, but man, it creeps in every once in a while. It's a slippery slope, you know. Like you get in circumstances and you're like, okay, I need some help with this one.
Right.
That one came back. And,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, and isn't that really important what you just said there too, is that why are we doing what we're doing? Like, what is the motivation? If we're coming from that brokenness, if we're coming from that place of like, you know, some dysfunctional story, and that's what's motivating you for that goal or that job or that whatever, if you dismantle that, suddenly it's like that goal, that job, that relationship is like, it's not gonna, of course it's gonna be a ripple effect, right? Which is a good thing, but it's dismantling.
Yes, it is dismantling. Holy moly! Like, and there is such talent in keeping your. Oh man, it is so cool because I am so in this right now. It is keeping your heart wide open and knowing that you are coming from a place of love for yourself, and knowing that I'm throwing myself into the fire, meaning I'm about to do some things that are going to dismantle shit that I actually just built up, that I just created.
I'm so proud of you for this.
Oh.
It's been huge. I can see it. Yeah.
And it takes silent fucking courage, excuse my language, courage and bravery to do this and to step into it and go, I'm stepping into dismantling something I've created. But it's not good for me, and it's not in alignment, and it's not supposed to happen that way. And
I need to hear this because I'm struggling with that too. I'm struggling with like owning it without all the limitations and the fears, and it's the total destruction of what you thought was so important.
where the courage comes from, 3 top things. Number 1, I've done this before, and it turned out 10 times fucking better on par. Like, it's like, I've done it.
Yeah.
I've moved into it, freaked just went, what am I doing? And then it turns out like in gifts that I actually could never even remotely have thought of. And then also for, let's say, the people, the circumstance, the business, the money, the whatever, the things that ended up having to shift and change, also was way better for them.
Yeah.
Was way better for it. Like it.
We don't think it is, but the truth is, when we show up the way we're meant to, it is the best for everyone else.
It is.
Yeah.
So that's number 1. Number 2, in the process of life, when we live our life authentically, like truly and authentically, here I am, whatever, we attract people when we're in the thick of it to go, I'm there, I'm imperfect, I love you, I got your back. Okay, whew, I'm off the cliff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's times you feel like you're on the cliff.
Toes are over the edge. And I suck at heights, man. Suck at heights. Whew. And so that's 2.
Yeah.
And 3 is death is the other option. I'm gonna live it. I'm living. So I better fucking live this life as good as I can. And if that means without everything, without everyone, and going off the cliff to actually just take the chance. Otherwise, I can be dead.
Yeah.
So I honestly I don't contemplate suicide all the time. I actually consider life and death all the time.
Right.
I'm like, if I'm not living this to my fullest potential, which is also not always comfortable, the fullest potential is not always comfortable, but fullest potential is led, guided, inspired, holy shit, toes over the edge. Good and bad.
Yeah.
And then actually walking around in awe, like
she does all the time. This is amazing.
Like I'm sitting here with a glass of wine with
on a Thursday afternoon.
Oh my god.
Just saying.
One of my soul sisters. Oh my god, soulmates for sure. And you can't see the background otherwise. Hey, this is our view.
Gift.
It's our view and our gift. And this is just one part. So the in-awe experience is constant.
Yeah.
So, but it doesn't make the spot of being uncomfortable any more comfortable. It's still uncomfortable, right? So, again.
So I want to, I mean, first of all, that was amazing. I feel inspired. I don't know about you, but I do. But I want to go to the question that you asked is, who am I? Because I think that's where people get stuck. You know, it's this sense of, okay, I know what I don't want. I know what I need to let go of. If we're honest with ourselves, we really just sit with that question. I think all of us can come up with something where this is not working for me. I might be hanging on to it because I believe, you know, for the big vision, even though that might not be the vehicle that's going to get you there, or you're hanging on because it's comfortable, or because you think people need you to do it, or whatever. But I think a lot of times people if I knew what the next step was, then I'd be more likely to let this go.
True.
So I think when we get into that space of but who am I? I mean, this is where we can start going into this whole intuition, which is around this how do we get into that? How do we actually access who am I? I mean, that's a loaded question that people spend their whole lives diving into, and I think it's a constant evolution. I think,
who are you now? I like to say, not who am I, but who am I now?
That's what I was going to say. It's irrelevant of who I was 10 years ago is not who I am now.
Absolutely, 100%.
So, who I am now, and I mean, that's a loaded question because it's not about your roles or your duties or your responsibilities. It's how do you want to show up in the world, and what is your gifting is the way I look at it. And so getting into understanding that, I mean, you can reflect on other people, sure, they can pull back to you and say, well, you're good at this, this is what you're naturally inclined for. Sure, that can give, a sense of validation, but I think it still has to start with a sense of knowing internally, which, I mean, from my perspective, the way I tap intuition is I don't think.
Right, 100%.
I mean, it sounds
intuition
crazy.
It's here down. It's actually right here. Do not go below there either, because that's not intuition.
That's not intuition.
It's from here to here.
Yeah. Stops at the waist.
Stops at the neck. Stops at the waist.
It's
true.
We talked about growing up gut feeling, right? Which is, I think, the same thing, but it wasn't emphasized. I think kids are intuitive. Like, they have a sense of things going on, but they won't be able to articulate what's going on. You know that because their behavior's crazy, right? But, like, when I think about that, like, going in and the only way I know how to do that personally is I have to get in my physical body. Like, we're always in our physical body, but I mean, like, actually become aware of it. Because otherwise our brain is always looking at, thinking about tomorrow, thinking about yesterday.
It's actually thinking about the ethereal, like the illusion of. It's the vision of. It's the the intangible.
The imagination.
So you're right. When I think I agree with you, and it. Greg, counselor for years, is Krisstael, you need to meditate. I'm like, is that jogging?
He told me that
jogging,
too.
Right?
And I got really pissed off.
I know, me too. Greg, we're throwing you into the bus.
It's like, I don't want to. I just want to fix it up here.
Meditation. No, I actually have never truly, I think it was 3.5 minutes. I'm like, no, not working for me.
It's not for everybody.
It's not for me, that's for sure. It's hot yoga. Because if you try to do hot yoga in a humid 104-degree room, you're not thinking about shit.
Can't think.
You have to go, breathe, move.
Yeah,
breathe,
sports
move.
is a good one.
Yeah.
Actually, anything where you're like highly, like, in the zone. The book's written about being in the zone.
Yeah.
And it's because you actually don't have time to think. You're just so in the moment. And I get that. It shows up in my office, which I've discovered when I'm with patients, because I have to be so present and available. I have to be focused. Like, I can't be thinking of, what am I cooking for dinner?
If you've never had a session with this chick, when she's in the zone, you're like, hey, where are you? What are you doing?
I don't know. People say stuff after. Like, you said this. I'm like, really? That sounds good. I don't know.
That sounds good. I'm glad I said it.
I don't, because I
love it.
I can't. It's not coming from the intellect, right? True. So I don't always. I don't even always hold it intellectually
100%.
either. If I don't write it down, I actually don't remember.
Yeah.
But it's only because I'm absolutely present. Yeah. Like, I'm not, and I'm hyper focused on this, on just being there for that person. Yeah. And I'm not thinking about anything else. I can't even be thinking about the situation of being like, oh, how do I apply this? And this could be this, and this could be I can't even do that. As soon as I do that, I go into the intellectual, and it's shut off. So I
it's
have
coming to you. So
it's
there's
coming
more
to
of
me because I'm not thinking. And I'm just doing, I'm just listening. It might be a listening, or it might be just I don't know what I do, but I just have a sense of like, there's just, it comes to me, an awareness of something.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's gifted, guided, it's God through you. You're a vessel, and let's just call a spade a spade. Like, bullshit. We don't need to.
It's hard to explain.
It's easy to explain.
As long as your individual experience is hard to explain. Yeah.
So, in segue into intuition. But that's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Intuition. So intuition, let's just, I'll call, like, I think I have 5 words for it. Inspired, intuition, gut feeling, led, guided.
Holy Spirit.
Bottom line. So choose a word that you relate to. What an incredible way to live. There is zero resistance around that. There's path of least resistance, really. Yeah. But how do you get there?
So I was just thinking that one of the simplest things, like, I think every time I go on a trip, I'm famous and known for, you probably want to travel with me because I bring...
She'll ask way too many detailed questions.
I do, but I bring everything, like, because I'm a naturopath, so I'm always prepared. So I'm like, well, somebody might get the flu, somebody might get the stomach flu, somebody, I might have jet lag. Like, I have everything, and so I've tailed it down a little bit, And part of that is because I literally go in my cupboard before and I look at my cupboard and I'm like, what do I need?
Yeah, you don't think about it.
I don't think. I just look and something will pop out and you're like, you should take that.
Oh,
and so
that's why you brought that to Hawaii.
So I started just listening. And so I will, might be a clothing item. It might be something that I wouldn't normally, and I just look in the cupboard and I'm like, what do I need? And sometimes there's nothing. Maybe I'll look at an essential oil, my cabinet, and I'll look at it and I'll just be like, you should bring that one. I have no idea why I'm bringing it. And the freaking times I don't listen.
Yeah,
are the times I'm like, shit, I knew I was supposed to bring that.
Isn't that awesome?
I've learned enough where I'm like,
so
damn
confirming. It's so confirming. It's so fun. It's so fun when you just actually don't have your hands in any of your choices. Like, you're like, do I drink red wine today?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do I not? Nope.
Yeah.
Not a good idea.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like, it's just simple.
Well, and we can't be distracted to do that. We can't be, like, I think that's, I mean, not to go down the rabbit hole, but
Let's do it.
I think there's a huge element of society that we are ultimately distracted, and I think to some degree purposefully. The more that we are distracted, the less that we are able to access and be available to intuition.
Man, this is a rabbit hole. Thank you.
It is.
Thank you.
But I think that, you know, be that a phone, be that, you know, whatever that might be, I think there's real intention because we don't hear when we're busy, we don't hear when we're distracted, we don't hear when we're tired, we don't hear when we're sick. Like, there's
and what do you mean by here? Because I know what you're saying, but
meaning
let's just talk
we're
about
not available to shut the mind off, to get into our bodies, because you need it actually requires some stillness. Like, true. I'm not saying you couldn't do it in a like crazy busy mall, but it's, you know, with 100 people asking you questions or things going on or at a concert. But it's not going to be easy.
Can I tell you
it's
how?
not going to be as easy.
I'll tell you how. I'll tell you how how you make it easy. Because not that I've done it all the time,
right?
But when I've prepped myself, so I think prepping myself. I'll just talk about my experience. Is in the lifestyle I lead, the majority of the time. You know, I try to take care of my body, my mind. I try to be a clean, efficient vessel.
Yeah.
Okay. As in whatever phase or stage of life I'm in, I try to be as clean and efficient in that vessel so that information can come through.
Take care of yourself.
Yeah, mentally, emotionally, physically,
100%.
Financially. You know, in your community, so blah blah blah.
Because those are all forms of distraction.
Right.
If you're not. Yeah.
So number one, take care of your foundation. Take care of my foundation, the base of who I am.
Sleep.
When I go to Houston Rodeo, where there's a mass amount of distractions everywhere, with cowboy hats and boots, and music, is I was just talking to a friend of mine the other day about Vegas. I'm like, Vegas, I'm not a huge fan of Vegas, but I go there because other people like to go there for celebrations and get-togethers and stuff. But I go there, me. I go there, me. I go there, and thank you.
There's a bug. It's just a little one. It's gone.
I am a warrior.
Yeah. Just not with bugs.
Thanks.
In Vegas?
No distractions. Is I ground myself before they go there, and I'm like, who am I? Like, I just remind myself, like, who am I? Who am I? Where do I come from? I come from a place of love. I'm going to have my boundaries around what is going to be helpful and healthy for me. Yeah, helpful and helpful for me, and major. And then I'm going to participate fully in it, knowing I'm supported, protected, taken care of, loved, all of the things. So no matter what, I actually prep myself before I go into these chaotic environments. And if I find myself in a chaotic environment, I literally stop.
See, that's to me the boundary.
Ground myself into the earth, ask for guidance, ask for protection, and let the filter take care of itself. I don't do anything about it. I just put up this rose gold bubble, and I just let that bubble basically filter all the stuff I don't need to know.
Yeah.
And then I base my choices on
Now, do you think you can do that because you're a seasoned veteran?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Because I'm not going to suggest you do that the first time. Let's go to Vegas and see how grounded
or Houston Rodeo.
connected I can be.
Nah. rodeo trumps like the stampede. Like,
yeah.
you have no idea.
I think
Can't wait till you
yeah.
come. You gotta come.
We'll see.
I have anything to do with it. She's coming.
I think that, to the point, like, I think you can access it anywhere. I think there's going to be, if you're trying to figure that out, there's going to be circumstances that are going to lend easier than others. And then once you become very attuned to it, then it's a reflex. It's not. It's like get into your body. It takes half a second.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't matter what's going on around you, but when you're learning to do that,
You can tune in.
set yourself up for success.
I'll tell you what started my journey on this was Reiki. And there's some spiritual, religious people on the planet that I just realized over I actually was just told a couple of years ago that some people in certain religions think that Reiki is a it's
New age.
not new. Well, and it's new age, but that it kind of has been put in a category. I was surprised. I'm like, what the? Are you kidding me? It's been a huge gift to me for all of my life. But there's been a perception of Reiki that it is. It doesn't come from God, and that it comes from Satan. We'll just call it a spade. And first of all, based on experience, I know it's not for me. That's not the case for me. But I also know we can take whatever intent we have into anything. And it becomes that vessel for love. It really becomes that vessel for love. Where's your source? Where are you grounded from? So I took Reiki level 1, 2, 3 and Reiki Master when I was like early 20s. And it just gave me tools at the time to connect to that energy, to connect to the what is that grounding? What is that like attuned to what?
Right.
Attuned to. Sure, we used symbols to imagine the power of something in a circumstance. And like I haven't even gone back to Reiki as an education since then. But
it was just an opportunity to
it opened up a door to learn.
That's what I mean. Between doing body talk courses, doing biofeedback testing, it's just been an evolution and an expansion of when you actually start working with the body, be that my own or other people's. If you've ever been to an intuitive practitioner, they're usually not just starting out.
No.
They've been at it for a while, and there's a sense that you get when you work with people, whether that's physical or even just like even a counselor, right? There's just a sense of a knowing of things, which is different than I think this is the issue, or I feel it's like a sense of knowing, and it's honestly sometimes hard to articulate it, right? Like when you're just like, I don't know how it's just I know. It's a discernment, right?
A discernment,
and the more, so I guess what I'm going to say on that, which maybe both of us are coming from, is this is something that you have innately. Meaning you were given, it's a gift. It's we all have the capacity.
We all have it.
But it's something you can develop.
Cultivate, yeah. You can cultivate for sure.
And you know, I think that there's many different ways to go about doing that. Some people, that meditation might be the thing that speaks to them. It doesn't actually speak to me that much.
Okay, so what's yours? What's your tricks and tips on how to do that for you? Because we can generalize all this. We can,
like I said, I have to get out of my head, and I just got to be present. However I need to do that.
So how do you be present?
Like I am right now.
Okay.
I'm not thinking about what I'm going to say next. Right. I'm not thinking about, we missed this topic.
Or who's listening.
Who's listening? Who's around? What's happening?
Awesome. So
good. That's how. Like, okay. I think it's like you shut off. Like you're in a zone of a sense of I'm shut off from everything out here, and I'm just in this conversation. And I'm not thinking about anything
Time
else.
Doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I'm not. So
I think as soon as you catch yourself thinking about what you need to say, or you stop listening because now you're actually thinking about how you're going to respond, you're not in intuition.
100%. In fact, her and I actually don't even know what we say in these things until we post it and read it and listen to it back.
Yeah,
we're like, oh God, we
listened to it with you.
We're like, ooh. Hopefully nobody listens that way.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think what I want to bring up, and part of it is inspired.
Journaling is another one. Sorry.
Okay.
I'll jump that in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So journaling. So okay, kind of give a top three.
Top three.
Yeah.
So getting physically in my body. So sometimes I actually have to feel my body. Maybe I have like an ache or a pain or something. I just need to like connect to it because that gets me in my body. Journaling and journaling like either free writing or even just asking questions that I'm pondering and then just letting me write the answer.
Awesome.
Because I think sometimes journaling, people are like, what do I do with that? Just ask a question that you have and then just let you write out the answer.
Answer it without discernment. Like, just let it flow.
Yeah.
Like, just don't even worry about your writing and let it go. I have a story about that when I was a kid.
And for me too, I feel sometimes like if I'm reading, and that could be something I'm really enjoying to read, or listening to something, or it could be reading the Bible, something will pop out. Like there will just be something like that lands, that hits me. It's not my own words, it's someone else's words, but it lands. Like, and I think most of us can identify that, where it's like, oh, that spoke to me.
Yeah.
And sometimes we get chills.
It's so much fun.
Sometimes and you're like, that was for me.
Yeah, it's
like,
totally for me.
That was for me.
Thank you, that was for me. Yeah. I constantly walk around saying thank you in my head, my heart. Really, truly. Like, oh, thank you.
So what's your top 3?
Okay. Oh, well, 100%. That thing. Present moment, intuitive. I ask. I didn't know how to ask for a long time because I didn't know who I was asking. In fact, truthfully, I'm not asking who. I'm not asking from who. Okay, because the who is so broad, and it's such a huge topic on who's who. But I guess I just probably I realized that the answer is not of me in this physical human space. The answer doesn't come from me in this physical human space. It comes from something beyond me, bigger than me, and whatever that is, it is. Lately in my life, it's becoming more and more a relationship with God, but not in the context of religion. It's actually, I say that because then I can relate to a lot of people that can actually understand what I'm saying. Because even just like, I'm 33. So up until I was 30.
Right. Today.
Before I was 30, I didn't know how to explain it. I didn't need to explain it. And then, but in relatability, anyway, so point is to get into intuition, like to get in grounded in being guided and listening, I just say, please tell me. Guide me. Literally before we sat down, in fact, 2 minutes into this, I said, hey, I'm a little distracted, please guide me. Right present. I'm like, has it been 10 minutes? I had no idea. Oh, shit. Alana, are we late?
I looked at my watch, I was like,
oh,
kids are still good. Don't have to pick them up yet.
That's what happens. I'm like, thank you, guide me.
That's how you know when you're in it, too, is because you lose track of time. Time, it's like, think about times you've had a good conversation with somebody and you're like, oh, what time is it? You've totally lost. You're in a flow. You're in a sense of intuition. You're connecting to what's truth. Yeah.
So I ask for guidance. I just ask for the information. And honestly, sometimes the information is, you need to walk over there. You need to go say hi to that person. You need to sit over here. Like the
drive this way,
whatever that is. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going this way. And then also be quiet. I need to be alone. So often when I'm finding myself distracted a lot and not grounded, not capable to go, hey, please guide me, and I'm in it, is I just need to pull back from society, pull back from people, get into nature and get into energy that's going to reconnect me to that. So that's that. Yeah. And then the physical activity. Yeah. Journaling is actually an action. So journaling for me is an action that is secondary to intuition. So it doesn't cultivate intuition to me. It actually is the action that I'm led to. Right. So I'm like, oh, I'm led to write. Is like, well, the intuition is right, and I'm supposed to write. And so many gifted things come from it. But how I cultivate the intuition is those things that I just said. So asking, being quiet, being with me, in nature. Typically,
nature's huge for me. Yeah. Like I think there's certain scenarios that you hear more, like being quiet, being in nature. Nature's just because it's what God created, right?
Well, it's energetic. Yeah. It's a
grounding. Yeah. It's not distracting. You're you know, you're releasing your ions, you're like,
Yeah.
you're able to, or you're connecting. Like, there's so much about nature that's beneficial, that's easy, I would say. But music can do that too.
True.
Like, sometimes when I've got like some really
True.
like inspirational, I have like a playlist that's inspirational songs, and then I have ones that are like my chill music or my workout music or whatever.
You're gonna share this playlist?
Yeah.
Okay, she's gonna share these playlists.
It's on Spotify. You just gotta look it up.
Somebody actually said to me the other day, "Oh, I just looked up your Spotify playlist." I'm like, "What? You can do that?"
I know, it feels like an infringement.
Oh my god, I have to figure out how to not do that.
I don't care. Go ahead then.
You can look. It's all country for me.
I don't look at it. But I have like tracks like that, and every time I hear a song that I'm like, oh, that felt like inspiring, I'll add it to my playlist. So music does that for me, but for someone else, it might be playing music. I mean, I guess what I want to say is, we don't want to put it in a box. We just want to give you an opportunity to say like, hey, there's a lot of ways that this can manifest.
True.
The key is when you hone into it, and when you get more connected to it and you get more used to it and you play with it, it expands so that you can go to Vegas and you can have discernment around boundaries, so that you'll know when is this not right for me? Because the whole idea is, if you're aware of who you are and what how you want to show up, and coming back to the whole self-love thing, as soon as that is compromised by the environment around you, you're going to have the discernment to say, actually, I need to step out. Yeah. I need to step back. I need to not participate. I need to whatever. Otherwise, we have no chance of boundaries.
100%. 100%. Oh man, that's a whole topic on boundaries.
Yeah.
I wanna kind of segue into one thing, and this is a bit of an inspired thing. I had a girlfriend I don't talk to very often right now, but she just literally this morning said, "I just listened to your podcast, and oh my god, this is amazing," and whatever. And she said, "I actually forget people listen to this." I'm like, we're just having a conversation,
Literally.
and, oh shit, we're recording. People can listen. So she said something about your podcast on money was so it changed some things significantly for her internally. And so I just said to her, I said, hey, if we ever actually talk on a topic, what kind of a topic would you want us to talk on? And she mentioned something, it kind of goes along the lines of self-esteem, self-worth, I think anyway, on body image. Like what do I look like, and how do I feel about that?
Right.
And so when I go back to self-love, self-worth, in fact, I'm going through that not going through it. I
identify.
Ish. It's sort of like, well, my physical body is representing a phase of life that I've been in for a year. Well, 6 months to a year. And I'm actually like, good job, girl.
Yeah.
Like, the stuff I've been up to was definitely not supportive of my physical body being
changes,
okay, right?
Lots of places,
But I know what my desire, I know where I'm most vital. I know when my physical body is representing me from a self-worth perspective. And it's not in alignment right now. I'm like, ooh, my body is not representing me. And this is not for anyone else.
Yeah.
This is me with Krisstael going, oh, you're a little out of alignment right now. And that's okay. You've been through this, done this, whatever.
It makes sense.
Yeah. But so from an intuitive perspective, I'm like, okay, well, what are the things that I get a chance to connect to from, and it's not self-image for me. If we actually take the self-image out of it, we have way more possibility to shape-shift our physical body than we ever do.
Yeah.
Because it's about self-love, true love, vitality, and energy, really.
Yeah.
So I know where she's coming from, but at the same time, I want us to chat. Okay, we talk about this all the time, but I really know. The crazy thing is, I can sit here and go, my best version physically of myself is 145 pounds. It's strong.
Lean. Yeah.
Not even lean, but actually physically strong. I get to lift a box above my head. I can jump. I can move around. I'm agile. I'm flexible. I'm I'm strong, I'm capable. Okay? Capable if I needed myself to be capable. And I don't feel like that right now. I'm like, oh, my hip flexors are so sore.
Yeah.
Oh, my back is like, I'm like, if I went for a jog right now, I'd be like, Alana, can you pick me up at the end of the rail trail?
Yeah.
But
True.
the intuition around that, so the inspiration and intuition around that is, as I hone myself into this self-worth, self-love, I'm like, ooh, I'm off track. This is a beacon. This is an example of, I'm a little off track. And then you and I both know, based, gut issues and hormone issues and all this stuff. I'm okay with
As women, we got lots of shit.
we got lots of resistance up against us, for sure. I'm like, okay, I'm surrendering to the circumstance as is, but at the same time, I can do my best.
I think,
Which includes red wine. Just saying.
I think what maybe I guess my interpretation of what you're saying too is that body image is really a reflection of what we feel on the inside, manifesting on the outside. And when it's incongruent one way or another, then we are going to feel it. And now I say that in both ways. If we only fix the outside and we don't fix the inside, it's incongruent, it's superficial, and you will emulate that.
Very true.
People will see it, people will feel it.
True.
You can have the perfect everything, and it's for what?
True. Yeah.
In the same way, if we're, internally taking care of ourselves and it's not manifesting externally, then there's incongruency. So naturally, there's a tendency to want to, okay, what can I do? What can I change? There's a discontentment. But I don't think it's, I think we get really superficial on it, right? It's really about the alignment, like you said. Like, I think there's too much that, women particularly, we talk about weight way too much, right? Like you said, like my perfect, where I feel the healthiest is about 138. Like forget 120, anything. Like what is that? And that's me feeling vital. That's me feeling strong. That's me feeling like my body is, I don't want to be, I guess the cliche of, I'm a size 4 and I'm, or a I'm like, 0 and a
4 is the size of my leg when I was 13. Like
but
awesome.
Even that, that's just my experience of knowing what's best for me.
Sure.
Everybody's different.
Absolutely.
And so what body image really represents is, do you feel on the inside in alignment with what's on the outside?
Yes.
And if there's not, then I would start with what's going on the inside that's causing the body to manifest that. True. Not because, I think exercise is very important and I'm going to advocate, and I like to shop and buy nice clothes and I like accessories, and it's not about, like, I do that for me because it makes me feel good and it's in alignment with what I feel inside.
It's funny because so I am not a natural. I did not show up this way. This physical body. What?
You're not blonde?
No. No. This is like not. You are, and her whole damn family is like envious blonde, like unreal.
Blend in the grays.
Our stylist, actually, we share a stylist, and she's like, "Do you know their family's hair?" I'm like, "I know." Don't talk about it. I'm trying to get my hair blonde.
I can't complain. I'm not complaining.
No. And the lashes are all mine. And the boobs were, and then they weren't, and then they are. So, and all of it, I actually don't do for anyone else.
Well, it again comes to the self-love.
Yeah, it's like, hey, guess what? I showed up as in this life. I showed up as a physical human, and I get to play around with the representation of me in a way, from a masculine or a feminine or a blend of type of experience for me in what I want to do, and how is that represented physically for me? Oh, and I've got tattoos, which I don't know. You think
I haven't got my first one yet.
Speaking of, you gotta book that.
Yeah.
I am going to Vegas. Yeah, you should come down.
I don't like Vegas either.
I'm not going there on purpose. Somebody's having a birthday.
So I don't know if that answers the question around self-esteem, but it is part of. I think it is stems.
It
stems part of. But again, to tie it all back together, I would say, first of all, having an awareness of who you are requires a sense of intuition so that you can cultivate, so you can access what you need, so you can cultivate self-love, so you can, you know, show up in places with, like, honoring yourself, which means self-love, self-respect, self-esteem, self-confidence, and also then set boundaries accordingly.
True. I'll go back for a sec.
Yeah.
Why I was bringing that in terms of self-esteem and self-love and worthiness and so on. We have to be careful of the judgment of others. First and foremost, have to be careful of the judgment of others, which is a representation of the judgment of ourselves. You cannot judge someone else if you are not also judging yourself for that same reason.
For sure.
Hands down,
the things
fact.
you see in other people
Fact.
is what's actually going on for
It
you.
is not fiction, it is
Yeah.
fact. So if I'm judging someone else, so needless to say, when I unpack that, the physical experience, when I go and I shapeshift something for me, what it is actually for me, not to outwardly represent something to take care of self-esteem. It's actually that I have this core place of self-worth and, you know, self-love, whatever, and I just want to express. I just want to express it in whatever way I want to express it. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and he says, "Oh, I noticed that you actually dressed up a little bit," and I thought it was, you know, as I was taking it this way, and I'm like, huh. Now that's making me feel insecure about dressing up, and I'm like, fuck that. I'm gonna dress up no matter what, because that's in that scenario was actually for me, even though they took it as that I might have been trying to put something on, and I'm like, no.
Which is actually representing, you know, the comment
Whatever.
just comes out of their own insecurity, or I mean, even just a thought.
A thought,
a
you know,
random
and
thought.
potentially because a lot of other people do that.
Right.
A lot of people make themselves more attractive for the reasons, but I actually make myself more attractive because I like feeling attractive sometimes, you know, like, so I thought, wow, that's an interesting take. And then what was interesting was that I internalized it, and I thought, that's not mine, I'm giving that back, and I'm gonna just put whatever dress on I want whenever I want, or not, like I'm in yoga pants all the time, so
Yes.
you know. So when I'm in a dress, people are like, how's Krisstael doing?
Yeah. You know, and I think, I mean, for me, clothes is an expression of me. It's an expression of my character. And I think if you look at people and you see how they dress, it is a reflection of who they are, how they like to carry themselves, how they, you know, what they want to put out in the world.
True.
So again, if we're feeling uncomfortable with that, then that's not what you're putting on your body.
True.
That's what's going on inside. And, you know, unfortunately, we don't have as much body language anymore because there's so much online and stuff. But body language is a huge element of communication, and it does tell the world how we, like, you can
100%.
point somebody across the room and be like, oh yeah, that's a confident person.
Yeah.
That's not a confident person. You haven't even had a conversation with them.
True.
And it's not just the clothes they're wearing, it's how they're carrying it, how are they standing, how are they feeling in it. And again, the more we know ourselves and we are taking care of ourselves and we love ourselves and we know we're deserving and worthy of respect, of love, of compassion, of being human, of making mistakes, of grace, of all the things, then it's like a weight gets lifted.
You know what's interesting? So I dated a human a couple of years ago who really, I mean, you're a soul sister, one of my best friends, and you're a Christian. Go to church and try to get me to go every once in a while. And I love it. I really love it. And I go when I'm inspired, and I go when I'm excited about it. And in saying that, this human that I dated was this guy that I dated. I love him. Everybody
I might know who you're talking about.
everybody I've ever dated is an important person to me. They show up that way. So, and then I let him go with love if I'm supposed to.
Yeah.
So he was quite entrenched in the Christian community. And I learned a lot of things about let's call it the translation or how I was living my life in terms of Christianity through him, because he's like, you live more like a Christian than a lot of Christians, and I'm like, what does that mean? You know, in saying that, he brought up the same thing about worthiness, and so I'll relate it in terms of. It was really cool because I was like, holy shit, I get that. And that resonates with me. I didn't need it out of a Bible, but it resonates with me.
Yeah.
And I don't know how, honestly, I know this stuff.
It's because God created you.
100%.
He imprinted that information.
Right.
Just so y'all know.
100%. Thank you. In saying that, it was the statement of that I kind of. It was a mindset of I came here perfect as an imperfect human being. I'm loved no matter what. I'm forgiven for all the bullshit that I do as a messed up human being. Now that doesn't mean that I go about doing bullshit just because I'm going to be forgiven. But at the same time, the base foundation is unconditional love. And Krisstael, you're worthy. Like there's this person standing there going, why would you think anything different?
Right.
Why would you think anything? So act as if. Don't let, I mean, the beautiful part of the human existence is that for the first 7, 8, 10, 12, 13, whatever years, we're unconscious and we're imprinted. It's inevitable.
Right.
It's a process. It's a part of this tattoo that goes on here. But, so in that imprinting stage and phase, that's not our choice. But beyond that, we get to remember. We get to remember, and we're reminded, and we get to remember, and we get reminded, and this is a reminder to everybody.
And this is a perfect full circle
way to end this, because otherwise we can talk forever. In fact, when we shut this off, we're talking forever.
We do.
While we go get our girls.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that the base foundation is no matter what, you came here loved, cared for, imperfect, perfect. Know you're worthy. Live as if you're worthy, and you will have an incredible experience, even in amongst the chaos and the bullshit.
Yes.
Right?
And it's a matter of, like you said, just remind yourself, because there's a lot, like I said, it's the lies, the distractions, the stories, all the things, is just that. Lies, stories, and distractions from the truth and the reality of you're already whole, you're already complete, you're already one, perfect. So if we can own it, the challenge is just to own it. And hopefully there's been some inspiration in this.
Well, I'm inspired.
Yeah, I am too. I feel like I really got to step into some things. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers. Hope you enjoyed it. Oh, do we do an outro? No. I guess this is Be Your Brilliance. I forgot. This is a podcast. Be Your Brilliance. Check us out. Follow us if you feel like it. We're just sharing.
We'll have another one sometime soon.
Yep. 1, 2, 3, go.